All right, so we should be live. Vivek, welcome to aMillionortheMoon. Thanks a lot for coming on, man.
Hey, Brendan, Madison, very nice to be here. Nice talking to you guys. Thank you.
There we go,
Yeah,
man. So
100%.
that's
Let's
what it
go.
is, man. That's what it is. Appreciate you. We can tell you're a
Thank you.
busy man. You know, you're just all over the globe,
No,
trying
no,
to
no.
do work with Polkadex and all that. And welcome everyone. Last time we had our live stream with the Cryptos Chain. If you guys remember, we talked about Polkadot in general. A lot of questions, and then at one point we were asking because me and both Brendan and me were very excited overall for exchange tokens, decentralized exchange tokens, and all that. And we think there's a lot of opportunity there. One of the questions we asked was, as which exchange crypto exchange was actually interested in, and it was Polkadex. We see there was a lot of traffic that happened there, and we just want to get to know what Polkadex is. And if you guys have any questions, let us know in the live chat, and we'll try our best to reach everybody. But again, man, maybe if you want to start with, how did you get into crypto? Just tell us more about yourself, your history, and
Yeah,
how
sure.
did Pokedex come into fruition?
Yeah, thanks for that brief intro about Crypto Chain. By the way, he's been, he was in touch with us when he was actually first to beat Polkadex. So very
Right.
nice of him to actually, talk about us. So anyway, I think I will give a brief intro about myself and then take you to Polkadex maybe. I I'm a computer engineer. I've been into the IT consulting business for a long time now, close to 15 years, and then came across Bitcoin back in 2013. And like every curious person out there, tried to set up a mining machine and try to mine some Bitcoins. And was drawn into the whole idea of decentralization. And right from the beginning, I was also part of some of the transactions in crypto for acquiring the mining boards or in terms of interacting with other people in the forum. So the exchange space was uh, you know kind of crowded even back then, even though they were sort of very anonymous, unlike what we have today, the regulated exchanges. And due to the same reason, there were so many exchange hacks, and centralized custodian was a big problem, which is actually getting solved right now because we have now a lot of custodial, regulated custodial operators coming into the scene. A lot of funding, which is great to see. But since this has been a problem for a long time, the decentralized exchange space has been, something that captured the attention of a lot of people who are trying to solve problems in this space. So this has been a problem; it's been around for a long time, and it is solved to a great extent. But I think from a user's perspective, since I've been a trader for many years, casually in terms of like all of us are like acquiring, and getting your dabbling with crypto assets, moving from one place to the other. So uh, this problem is right now uh, unaddressed in many ways because we still don't have the kind of experience that we get when you trade in a centralized exchange. So that is what Polkadex was after, and because of the specific reasons of why the order book as an exchange system doesn't work in most of the decentralized blockchain is because of certain inherent problems, and Polkadot is actually trying to solve that. And we came together as a team a year and a half ago, and we started working on it uh, early last year, and then came up with a prototype in September last year, and got into the Web3 ecosystem after doing our own research and learning about Gavin Wood, Polkadot, and many of the leading um, leaders, I would say, from on the Web3 ecosystem. Johan Bennett is one of them. So we also got drawn into the same philosophy and started working on this. So luckily, we were exposed to very good people at the beginning, and obviously, I think the market was also really good at that time, and we were able to get enough traction to get this project to this far. So we are already a funded project, and we will be releasing all of our projects as part of that initial seed funding. And once that happens, we will be in a position to go ahead and scale the product, which is actually becomes a very useful product for traders out there. And personally, I'm also looking to trade in this because an order book exchange is something that is going to be very useful for the ecosystem, which is non-custodial at the moment.
Okay. And let me ask, what made you want to build on Polkadot? Why not something else?
We tried to, personally, if you ask me, we've tried it on many other chains. So if you go back in time, I have tried to attempt the same thing on another chain. And there are certain limitations that comes with blockchain being a layer on which you can actually build a DApp, right? So it comes with a lot of restrictions on how you operate on a consensus level. So if you choose a chain and then build your application on top of it, there are certain basic uh, consensus mechanism you have to adhere to. So you cannot improve it beyond that. But with Polkadot, you have a framework called substrate, which means that you can actually custom build a blockchain and connect it to Polkadot as a relay chain. So customizing your blockchain is very essential when you build an application like what we are building right now, because it is closely knit with the kind of uh, you know algorithms you're running on it within the block time, and the kind of consensus we require on different aspects of that algorithm. So you get a lot of control on in separating what needs to be executed off chain and what needs to be executed on chain. So this engineering is possible with substrate in much more intricate level than other
Right.
systems.
So
That's why we chose.
it gave you more, I guess, the flexibility to for what an decentralized exchange would actually require. But I
Exactly.
guess so. What's being settled then on the Polkadot? Like, what are we using the Polkadot blockchain for? Is there any like transactions are being settled there, or what does Polkadex, for example, on the other hand, settle off chain? And so for people to understand what's being settled where, what's Polkadot being used to in general, basically.
Right. Right now, Polkadex is a solo chain, which was launched in September end. As we know, it's the mainnet that we have. But eventually, once the team at Parity is ready for solo chain to Parachain migration, and which they promise that they will be able to deliver by the end of the year, we will be able to apply for the parachain and convert this to a parachain. So when that happens, all of the final consensus will happen on the Polkadot relay chain. But since we also have several other mechanisms like interoperability, which are also part of the existing, um, network layer, we will have an additional layer of workers in the Polkadex chain, which will help with interoperability. So it's not only going to be a parachain, it will also be an interoperability layer, which brings in or bridges liquidity from layer one chains from outside.
Really?
So
Oh, wow.
yes,
Okay.
yes, that's what
Yeah.
makes it unique in terms of a DEX. We are simply not relying on an existing protocol. We are building our own protocol plus a DApp on top of it. So Polkadot just makes it easier for us, but then we have to do bulk of the work in terms of the protocol layer. What I meant is, you need to secure these assets on a protocol level. So
Hmm.
which means that those things needs to be, we have to build that ourselves. So that
Right.
is why it took time, but it's gone well so far, and we are going for audits first week of January.
Okay. Wow. There's a lot of threads here I want to pick at.
So many. I don't.
Yeah. There's so much here. I want to hover on the consensus point for a bit, but just to quickly clarify, so will Polkadex handle simply substrate tokens, or are you suggesting now that other ecosystem tokens will be able to trade on Polkadex as well?
Not just substrate tokens, we will be first supporting Ethereum tokens as well, because we see that
Okay.
Ethereum and Polkadot are kind of the two leading. I'm not against other ecosystems. Don't
Sure.
take me like I don't side with
That's
anyone.
what the liquidity is.
But
Yeah.
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 It's
So
better
right
for
right now
liquidity.
the
That's what it
liquidity
is.
is in
We need it.
Ethereum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now it's in Ethereum. So we need to have to begin with, to start off, we are going to bridge liquidity from Ethereum. So in the beginning, Polkadex as an exchange can support tokens from Ethereum as well as Polkadot. So all the substrate-based chains can list on us natively. At the same time, all the Ethereum-based ERC20 tokens can be seamlessly bridged to
Mhm.
Polkadex.
And with
Okay.
the, I guess my this could be a simple question, but in terms of liquidity, that's going to help with the liquidity. So we're not having some sort of a thin order book. Is it going to be joint? Let's say if we're trying to any kind of token or like an ERC20 token, for example. Is it going to, is Polkadot combining liquidity from different chains, for example? Is it going to be, or is you'd have to connect a certain chain to use Polkadex? Let's say if you're connected through like a MetaMask on the Ethereum network, different than like a Polkadot. If you have some different wallet, for example, on the Polkadot network, are the liquidity or going to be separated at all? I just said my mic a couple of times.
Yes. So right now, the first phase of development will be to bridge liquidity from Ethereum, which means that any ERC20 token can be brought to Polkadex in a decentralized way with software protocol level security, okay, which is decentralized. There is no centralized layers there. So which is going to be the first of a kind, which makes it easier for projects to bring in liquidity. And how you game that liquidity is about how we are going to reward the liquidity providers. That is going to be similar to what projects like Aave or other projects are doing, where people will have an incentive to park their liquidity on chain. So combining this would we feel that it would organically drive liquidity to Polkadex, which will allow people or incentivize people for parking the liquidity, which again takes care of the option for traders to come in and then have an opportunity to trade. So since substrate as an ecosystem is only just beginning to happen, most of these tokens are right now listed in bigger exchanges outside. So they will also have an opportunity to bridge those liquidity into Polkadex, because we are going to be one of the first. If once this is launched, it's going to be a marketplace where people can actually get the kind of liquidity which we are going to plan, which is kind of similar to how they are right now, because I know many of the newer projects are finding it difficult to get listed on a known exchange, right? Especially those in substrate. So they can easily list it on us, and they can also try to fundraise on us with the IDO that we have. So it's going to help new projects in two phases, where they're able to fundraise in their own right, and then choose maybe the first exchange list. They can list it on Polkadex for liquidity. Yes.
Okay, I see. Okay, there's a lot of questions I have here. So to further clarify, so will Polkadex be handling that bridged over liquidity, or will Polkadex act more like an aggregator where you route orders through different dexes? If that makes sense, the question. Does that make sense?
Right now there is no plan to build a cross dex liquidity. But it is very much possible, because I think that the part of the problems that we are trying to solve are the critical problems, right? It's connected with the basic. It's connected with securing the assets which are coming into the chain, and then building the user interface. Honestly, the other part of sharing liquidity with other dexes and stuff like that can be, I think those are the easier problems to solve once you have the chain and the interoperability built in. So that can be looked at as a scalability strategy. But at the moment, what we need to focus is the basic problems, which are first is interoperability, then liquidity for incentivizing them, and the user experience of how you trade, how you deposit, withdraw funds, and how much fee you have to pay to deposit and withdraw. So all of these will actually matter a lot for people to actually try and use a product, because we're not trying to create something and probably when you launch, there's a lot of hype, and people want to just try it out, and then everything dies out after some time, because people feel, okay, it's a fad, it's a good thing, okay. So but that's not what we are trying to focus. We are also looking at it as a product where people try and use it, and then they feel, okay, this is as good as anything else, right? So let me try and. So that's why we are focusing on the mobile app and the proxy accounts, where they can actually place trades without signatures. So these are things that we are trying to do so that it develops as a product, not just as a protocol.
Definitely.
Right.
So one thing I have a question about here. You mentioned custody a couple of times, and the security of I guess like having that custodial service, I guess. Can you elaborate more on that? What are the challenges we got here so far? Transitioning from the how what we're used to with centralized exchange now is decentralized. Where's the custody? Where are those coins or tokens held at? And what's the biggest challenge for you guys when it comes to that?
Right. See, right now the how the way things are set up is that there are custody solutions providers, which means that, okay, suppose your mom or dad, they don't want to actually worry about something and they want somebody to handle the custody of things. So custody solutions are okay because they are like willingly, you're actually, assigning the rights to handle that somebody, that's a different
Right.
story. But these custody providers, in order to actually have these tokens exchanged for a particular user, are right now relying on central institutions, which is not really required anymore. They can actually interact with the protocol. They can actually keep those assets on the chain itself without having to have another person involved for simply holding and exchanging these tokens. So first time we have an opportunity where we are giving the freedom to the people, where if I'm a purist, where I believe that, okay, the assets are mine and I don't want to give it off to somebody, I have the option now to trade directly on protocol level, where I don't lose control of the asset. I can see it sitting on the chain. I can see it sitting on my wallet. I still end up finishing the trade. Okay, so that is a freedom that is actually what what everybody's working on. Everybody knows that, that's what we need. So once we get to that point, I'm not saying that custody solutions will go away. Definitely there'll be some people who would prefer to have those kind of solutions for their ease of operation.
Until they trust the code enough, I guess, to just
But the custody providers can directly interact with the protocol for storing, and they can get regulated for that matter.
And I'm sure as you've been in crypto for quite some time, you could really appreciate the benefit and the value of making sure a lot of these trades are handled and settled on chain. That's a massive value proposition, especially for the rest of the Polkadot network. Now, let me ask you, so what will the process be like for listing coins on Polkadex?
Yeah, see, for example, Polkadex is going to be, there are two sides to it. One is the protocol and one is the business side of it, right? So we have the protocol built out on the chain, and we also have the exchange side of it, which also needs a bridge to the traditional financial system, which means that it will be a regulated interface and with a regulated license, so that we are able to allow people from traditional or fiat system to migrate over to this. So that will mean that, okay, whatever is actually being presented on the Polkadex's main interface, that will undergo some regulation, right? We cannot simply just go and list anything. But as a blockchain, it is available for people to make use of it. And in the future, if somebody wants to run it in a separate way, as a decentralized protocol, they can do it. But from our side, we need to make sure that it is a regulated interface so that we are able to keep it running. Otherwise, there's a point at which you can get shut down, and you can get so you also have to look at the long-term longevity of the project.
We need to keep the regulator happy, otherwise
exactly. Right, that's right. But the protocol level, it is something anybody can take it up and use it. It's on chain, it's decentralized. So once it becomes sufficiently decentralized, there's nobody to point fingers at. It's up to the person to just take it up and run it.
That's true. Okay,
it's open to all.
So I really wanted to hover on the consensus point for a little bit, because I'm frankly very curious, because I want to understand a bit how the Polkadot ecosystem works, where what exactly will be settled on Polkadot, what exactly will be handled by Polkadex. So will every transaction be ultimately settled on Polkadot? Is it just the security aspect that Polkadot's handling? What's the work that Polkadex is doing? What's the work that Polkadot's doing?
Okay, Polkadex is going to be executing these transactions and creating the block and everything. And the collators will finally submit that to the Polkadot chain, chain for final confirmation. That's what's going to happen. But unlike the general parachains, we are extensively using the off-chain worker mechanisms, where there are so many executions that are happening in parallel outside the runtime, which is part of the several other modules that we have, like interoperability and all of that, which is by itself is handled by these validators. They themselves handle these executions. So it is our code, but it is not actually on the runtime, but it's executed off chain and then finally settled, after certain time period. So, but effectively, all of this will get finally confirmed on Polkadot when it becomes a parachain.
Okay, understood. All right, yeah.
So I guess one more question, which I think me and Brandon were discussing before the live stream. I think the biggest thing was, and you touched upon it right now, was onboarding fiat and the importance of us being on the good side of regulation. We got to be able to KYC people. We need to know their identity, all those things. What's the process like for onboarding fiat, and what kind of mechanism do we need to go through? A bank? Can we go just strictly through a bank? Credit cards, or how does the Polkadex system interact with the traditional finance, and what's actually required for KYC and regulations?
That is right. I think, Mazen, the final solution to that on exactly how the user experience is going to be will be known only by January, mid or January, because we are actively working with the lawyers to see how much of a leverage we have on, for example, if people are okay with deposits being without KYC, and then only withdrawals can go with KYC. So there's so many ifs and buts there, but the more information we get, then we can streamline that user experience exactly how it will look like.
Right.
But there are several decentralized solutions out there, right? Like, for example, what we are partnering with Kilt and everything. So decentralization of how users are identified is basically something which is going to be determining the kind of user experience we'll have as an end product. But we are trying to make it as simple and easy as possible, so that at least for people to start to get in and start trading, there shouldn't be a lot of friction. Then it takes away the fun of actually using a product, right? So that's what right now it's happening. That's why I was in Tallinn.
Okay, and I'm sure it's fun to deal with all those different jurisdictions.
Yeah, exactly to solve that problem. Yeah,
right.
That's what it looks like, man. That's what it looks like. Regulatory clarity is something that we, it's kind of getting in the way of things, and we need to know. At least let us know what's required, so we can kind of go and navigate around that and create our user interface.
So sorry to interrupt you, man, but how much of a hindrance has that been as well? Do you find the lack of regulatory clarity a hindrance? Are you steamrolling ahead? How does that delve into the equation?
See, I think the problem with the current regulatory mechanism is seeing everything as black and white, plus the fact that they feel that they assume that everybody is a fraud, okay, and then they pick out the good people out of it.
That's true.
That's the general way policing is done overall. You basically try to enter a fly. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or something, but everybody's frisked, right? He assumes that, okay, I'm going to, I'm a bad guy, and then you frisk us, and then you figure out, okay, now he's good. So that's the approach generally you have in policing all around the world. So that's the approach that regulators take generally, because there is no way to prove that this guy is good, at the look of it. But blockchain now gives an opportunity to actually mathematically prove in certain ways that, okay, this is a good guy, assumingly a good guy, but he can potentially be a bad guy in the future.
Right.
Okay. So if we get to that point, if we can actually get the regulators to go to that point where they understand that, okay, it is mathematically possible to prove that this guy is actually good, but later if the guy turns bad, then there is a traceability to that guy where you identify that guy and you go only behind that guy, right? Instead of spoiling the life of everybody, where we're not coming here to cheat, right? So that's where, you have to finally take everyone. If that happens, I think user experience is going to be really superb here. I mean, the only reason why it's so bad right now is, everybody needs to be, checked for and, covered for and stuff like that.
Definitely.
And so with the ability to bridge in fiat in the works, how is Polkadex handling KYC? Is KYC information being stored on the blockchain at all? How's that being handled?
Right now, the mechanism that we've planned is to have a proof. Like I said, everything is about proof, right? Blockchain provides you proof of that certain work has been done. So if Polkadex being an exchange, exchange is basically a place to, transfer value. So if that is what it's supposed to be, it can actually do that. Okay. So if somebody else wants to actually give us proof that, okay, this has been done, or this guy has actually been proven that, this process has been gone through, he has undergone that process. If another blockchain is able to give us, we can work with that.
Right.
Polkadex chain can work with that.
Okay.
That's what we're planning with blockchains like Kilt and other protocols out there,
Okay.
who are ready to take up that problem and solve it, by getting these people through that process and creating a proof for everybody that it again becomes a part of the system where you don't need to check anything else, right? So which means that you don't need to actually look at what's your name, what is your date of birth, which nationality you are. You don't need to know anything. It's just a proof that you are eligible for, you have already undergone these kind of things, and
Right.
you store it. And that's what Web3 is working on, where you have your data checked and then you store it yourself so that any other service provider do not have access to it. Right now, since you're spreading it out to a large chunk of people, there is always a risk of leaking your data, right?
Right.
So now decentralized systems can actually reduce that risk, where once it's verified, the data remains with the user, and everybody else gets to work with the proof that is I'm eligible to participate.
That's very interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So we
Right?
trusted the blockchain. We trusted. We put the information.
Exactly.
We trust that the blockchain will verify that that person is. We know their identity and they're eligible. From there, all right. Now we can trade. Now we can use certain features. Man, this is amazing because it's kind of putting that's the beauty of the of the code, of the math behind the code, is that that's the whole point of crypto, that we don't really need to trust the middleman or an entity basically to verify those things. It's built into the code, and it's as transparent as possible that no one can actually refute it, and you'll see it. And if there's a bad actor, we'll go back and we can trace exactly who the bad actor is and see what happened there, as opposed to just shutting down the whole system. But that's pretty interesting. That's definitely interesting what you guys are doing, man.
Now, as well, I have a bit of a different question here. I've been meaning to figure this out for quite a long time. But what is the difference between a node and a validator? Is this nomenclature?
Yeah, basically, a node provides the the entire the block or the data that is blockchain has to store, right? So that you can actually verify certain transactions by querying that node. Okay. You can actually, because you have you run a full node, in Ethereum or a blockchain, where you run a full node, where then if anybody wants to check that a transaction has actually happened, a hash you want to verify, then you can actually query that node to make sure that that transaction is actually valid, or it's a legitimate block or something like that. So that's what nodes are used for. What a validator is. Yeah. It's for confirming.
Okay, perfect. As well, so is Polkadex aiming for a paratrain or parathread slot on Polkadot or Kusama?
We are going straight for Polkadot.
Going straight to Polkadot. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And
because we don't have the economics, we have not designed the economics to actually go for two chains.
I see.
Right.
Because we are using the same token everywhere. So it would be counterproductive for us to actually have then another token for another chain, which most projects are doing, but we don't want to do that.
Right. Okay.
And what's the utility, I guess, behind the Pdex token? Is there governance? We can stake? Is there some sort of is there some sort of specific utility for the token itself, or
everywhere? I think for staking consensus, then you have the IDO for participation. And then for interoperability, for the validators needs to stake certain amount of tokens to be part of that interoperability protocol. So Polkadex token will be the the value that you pay for a certain activity on any activity on Polkadex chain. Somebody has to pay for it, right? So that value is derived from that token.
Right.
So that's how it's going to work. The entire chain is going to be operated by. It's like that's how the crypto is designed, right? Like a currency. That's how it becomes a currency, where it drives value the activity in the chain. So it
Right.
becomes a cryptocurrency. Some people always have that confusion. Why is it a currency? That's how it works inside a blockchain.
So my follow-up question would be, we understand what's the biggest thing right now with crypto and us building dApps or even, decentralized exchanges, or even for us to even think about trading or swapping tokens, is the crazy transaction fees we're having, right? How's Polkadex going about that? What could the people expect, or traders, people like a bit of higher frequency of swapping tokens? What can we expect from transaction fees on Polkadex? Basically, how are we tackling that problem?
Exactly. So Polkadex has another pool, a liquidity pool, which is called Polka pool, which is already audited and ready to go live. The only reason we have not taken it live is because of the constraints that we have with the order book, which is our flagship product. Everybody's working on it. And the moment you launch a product, you definitely have to follow through on the response feedback, and you need to have a separate team for that full time. So we will be launching that along with, once the order book goes to the audit, we will be going through this IDO and the Polka pool. You can see it working. And in Polka pool, you are basically eliminating the two major problems. One is the front running, and then you have the transaction fees.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to have a different approach to it. I think it is not really adopted. It's another control that is given by substrate, where you can have transactions on a randomized transactions instead of based on the amount of gas fees that you pay for each transaction. So you can see it in action when it goes live next month.
Hmm.
So yeah, it will have zero gas fees and
Wow.
No front running. Yes. So
Yeah.
it is a protocol release again. It's not a licensed product, so it's there. So now the community will have to take it up and start using it. But we'll be trying to push some liquidity there, and to see how it for people to take it up and use it. But I feel it's going to be very useful once it goes live.
That's very exciting. That's very
Yeah.
exciting, especially for traders. That's it's very good news for everybody.
Right.
Definitely.
100%. Yeah. So if we had to look out 1 year from now, 5 years from now, when would you say Polkadex is fully functioning, Paratrain, everything's out?
Next year.
Next year.
Of
Okay.
course, yeah.
There we go.
Great.
Awesome.
Because I think once it becomes a parachain and once the Ethereum liquidity comes in, I think it's ready to go.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Has there been any updates on how to participate in the IDOs, how much Pdex you need? Any progress on that front?
Yeah, that will be part of the mainnet launch, because
Okay.
once it goes to the testnet, right now it's with the beta testers, and it goes to testnet, and before we launch it as a product, then we will have a strategy out on, and that is going to be on-chain governance again. We don't have fixed numbers there, so it'll be similar to how Polkadot is doing right now. We can put out a vote, and then everybody decides together on what should be the basic number that to participate, and they can increase it or decrease it. It's up to the community to decide how to do it, instead of just centralizing that part where you need to have so much tokens to participate. No, it doesn't work like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so
Right.
it can be decided
Yeah.
at the time of launch.
I see. Okay. All right. I see a question here in the chat. Any new exchange listings in the near future? Coinbase, anything?
Not Coinbase, but we have two of them in line.
That was blocked.
Straight
Still.
to the top, man. People just want to know, when are you going on Coinbase, man?
Yeah, going straight to the
Straight to the
yeah,
moon.
we're
Straight to
trying
the
with
big
whatever we
competitor.
can.
Mm.
Yeah, because the ecosystem is slightly different, right? It's not like
Right.
you have so it's a separate ecosystem, so it's
Yeah.
not easy to get onto, especially a highly regulated exchange like Coinbase.
Oh yeah.
You need to have 100 papers checked before they even consider you. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you go through the normal channel. I think a couple of them coming up. It's already signed and delivered.
Okay.
Everything. They're just waiting to
Definitely.
everybody's swamped right now, but
Right.
from our side, everything is done for two of them to come up right now. It's on the way.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
So what would you say
Right.
now for the people listening? I guess it's definitely Polkadex is definitely a unique project. It caught our eyes. When we talked with Crypto's chain, and it seems like we got a goal, we got something we're aiming for. What's exciting you next? What's coming up next here? What should the people be looking for next with Polkadex? Anything to like any specific date for something? Is there anything coming up soon? What's the next big thing?
Yeah, right now I think all of the launches were supposed to happen by Q4, and from our side, actually the products are ready, but we are supposed to launch in Q4. But it's already December, and the guys have been working really hard for the last few months, and we need to give them a break by at
They need a
least 10 days
vacation.
in December. So
Right.
we don't want to launch it right now and then work on this feedback, because I know when a launch happens, there'll be a lot of feedback, and there has to be ready to address those problems immediately. We don't want to just launch it and leave, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's the reason why we pushed it to the first week of Jan. So
Okay.
kind of everything is kind of ready. The IDO is ready. The order book is also kind of it's going for audit, so that's also ready. So you can expect all of that to be a cramped January, actually, coming next year.
Awesome. Now, is it also true that Polkadex has, I heard, around 70% APY for staking? Is that true?
I think so. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. You can. It used to be. Yeah. I think 67. You can try it. I mean, I'm not claiming any numbers here.
Right.
Yeah. It's good in the beginning, right? Because you have. But then
For the
again, it
early
keeps.
people.
Right.
Yeah, and also early people, and also I think the reward curve is basically designed in such a way that the inflation it maximizes when at least 50% of the tokens are staked.
Okay.
Right now it's nowhere near that,
Okay.
which means it'll
Right.
keep on increasing till
Right.
50% is staked,
So
and
it's
then
early,
it
yeah.
exponentially decreases. So
Yeah.
it's algorithm driven. So you
Right.
can just run the numbers. It's easy. I'm not a professional validator. I don't run and manage validators.
Mhm.
So
That's
I'm
true.
not.
I know.
Yeah,
I got
People
you.
can
I
check
got
it
you.
out. People can go
Yeah,
and
yeah.
actually definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, that's pretty amazing.
Now, I want to just confirm this, just for the people that are hearing this for the first time. So, is the supply capped for Polkadex? It
Yeah,
is capped.
supply is capped 20.
Okay.
Yeah,
No
but it just
inflation.
goes varies plus and minus, a few percent here and there.
Okay.
But it automatically there's an automatic mechanism to burn the token and then keep it steady. Yeah. That's how it
Okay.
works.
Yeah, and so far we have 23% of the circulating supplies, 4.5 million,
Oh yeah,
and total
see,
is 20
another
million.
20. Yeah, which means that if you go stake now, it's going to give inflation keep rising to accommodate you, so
Right.
you won't lose out right now. Yeah.
There we go. So you heard that, people. 100%.
Now, as well, look, me personally, I'm an investor trader in the space. I am a fan of buying high quality projects when they're early. So I just wanted to ask you a question. So it seems to me that on Etherscan here, I'm seeing that there's roughly just over 4,100 unique addresses holding Polkadex. Does that number seem accurate to you?
I think it's a little off right now, because you're considering both the it's the ERC20 and the native token, right?
Okay.
So once the migration completes, once the migration happens properly, once I think the other exchange is still yet to list the native token. So only once that is done and people are actually on the mainnet, you can actually have an accurate figure.
Right.
And that's another reason why some of them, some of my own friends, like they just wanted to see, want to get that on KuCoin. So there's so many reasons that people decide. For example, you're holding 100 Pdex, right? And you don't want to lose another $30 to migrate. So
Definitely.
these are kind of problems which people are facing.
Right.
So once these are smoothened out, I think we can have a proper number on the
a more accurate number.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
Right.
the excitement's pretty much, I think that the community, there's a community behind the Polkadex on Twitter, and we see that, and a lot of people are excited. Definitely, this number is not. I think what's the real reflection of that interest is going to be once the migration happens, once the bridging happens, and people can really actually end up getting the token and participating in all the services. So. To be honest with you, I'm really, really impressed, especially with us here. We started off with trading mainly, and that's how the channel developed. And we ran into so many trader problems. You hate the high fees, you hate when you get front run, you hate when the order book is very thin, and you got to look into exactly.
I do this. Yeah, I've been to the same thing.
Yeah. So that's I think you're using crypto the proper way crypto should be used. And with KYC and how you're approaching regulations now. You said in January we're gonna have more clarity on that and all that. I think it's a pretty amazing product, man. I think that's something that we can actually definitely stand behind and we want to participate in. So it's definitely
Absolutely.
something.
We try to solve it in our own humble ways, so you can
Yeah.
give feedback and try and see how we can improve it. It's
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting next year with especially how you guys offer mobile services. I mean, that's going to be. I'm honestly
that's going to be really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know, like I'm traveling. If I want to place a trade,
it's massive. It's
Pdex,
massive,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Right.
and once you have the signature, you have these proxy accounts where you can actually place trade with a signature. It's going to be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to connect my
that's-
wallet and go and verify and go on
Yeah.
MetaMask and do this. I just want it on the spot right away. Yeah, that's true.
100%. Now, I have a bit of a different question as well. So, if you had to give any advice to someone getting into crypto, software coding, new person, what advice would you give them? Stay away from Ethereum. Learn Rust.
No way.
Yeah.
Ethereum's not going to go away.
Learn Rust.
Yeah.
No. I think everything, Ethereum and the ecosystem is going to be there. I mean, all of the individual ecosystems, though that's the problem right now. Everything is so segregated and divided that there is no way to, once there's a mechanism like how the internet used to operate, right? There's a mechanism to have a protocol to bridge these together, which Polkadot is attempting right now.
Right.
And there are several people working. Cosmos has a IBC protocol. So once you're able to link these blockchains together, it's a different world. It's like the internet, right? So you have the value proposition and the properties of each token. You can actually transfer it to another place without losing its core properties of decentralization.
Right.
So once that happens, it becomes more like a big internet space. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's going to be cool. I mean, if you are starting off, I think you should definitely focus on, I think there's a very scarcity of Rust developers. Rust is a great language to, start off if you're really starting off.
Okay.
That's what we heard in your interview. In your interview with the Cryptos Chain, you were talking specifically about Rust being a very important aspect. If you really want to succeed in this whole space, you really need to know what Rust is and how to operate with it and all that. So
it gives you a lot of control on designing systems, and if you want to have certain logic which is actually on the network layer, if you're actually coding in Rust, you come up with ideas. Okay, you can actually do that. I mean, you can have
definitely
right.
So
there you go.
That's how you can start off.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're reaching here the 45 minute here. What do we know? You're traveling. You got a lot to do here, and you guys are compressed in terms of all the work and all that. So maybe I don't know, Brendan, if you have any more questions, we want to wrap this up, or how you want. I know we got too many questions.
Well, we can keep going, but I think this is I think maybe a good spot. I can't say.
We can actually, if you don't lose those questions, we can actually maybe give it to us like as an audio format or questions. We can get our people to just put it together and then we'll answer it and push it on our Telegram and on our Twitter. Don't lose it. I mean, there's no
we have a whole document here for you. Whole document questions.
We can do that.
No, that's awesome. That's great. But no, I think maybe right now we can maybe start to wrap things up. I think, I'm not sure if I see anything else there in the comments. But look, Vivek, thank you so much for your time. This is so interesting. We love learning about new projects all the time. So I really appreciate your time. You have any final words?
Thanks, Brandon Mehasin, for inviting, and it was very nice talking to you. Very good questions. I think I hope I was able to answer the way that your audience wanted. And definitely looking forward to coming back again.
100%. We'll 100% contact you again to get you here. We think this is very interesting, and it's definitely tackling the things that we have been struggling with. And it's amazing to see another project using crypto the way crypto is supposed to be used, and actually helping people and benefiting the whole community. So thank you for coming up. I appreciate you. And
thank you so much.
you guys, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you soon, I guess.
Yeah, folks, everyone take care.
Thank you.